Hello and welcome to Drafting Motherhood. I'm your host, Michaela Burnham, and today's episode is inspired by an email submission we received from a father to be. He had a ton of questions on what it's like being a new parent, and it honestly made me giggle as I was reading it because it brought me back to those moments. I was a couple months before my first daughter was born, and I was just a little ball of anxious mess. Okay. I wanted everyone to tell me what was going to happen, what should I expect? And the thing is, everyone kind of had different answers. So, today's questions that I'm going to be answering are ones that I think are pretty common questions that new parents have. I'm going to be sharing my own personal experience, a little bit of advice, and I'm going to back it up with some research as well. So, the first question is childbirth options. How do you know which one is right? Well, the short answer is there is no right answer. It's only what's right for you. Just do your research on it. If you end up choosing to do an at home, unmedicated birth with a doula and a bathtub, beautiful. I love that. If you choose to go to the hospital and get an epidural, like I did both times, that's also totally fine. Nobody can tell you which one is right or wrong. And I feel like there's kind of this weird stigma around childbirth and that there's these teams on social media. I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen different posts that are like, which team are you, mama? Are you team home birth? Are you team hospital? Are you team all natural? Which, by the way, I hate that phrase. What do you mean all natural? I know what you mean. You mean unmedicated. But that word, natural, it doesn't take away the fact that it's natural because you had medicine, in my opinion. Okay. I think all childbirth is natural. If you choose to not do a medicated birth because of personal reasons, or maybe you had medical reasons and you could not take medicine while you were giving birth, totally understand that. That is wonderful. I get it for you. But I don't think it should be like a bragging point or something to hold over someone else that, oh, well, I did it unmedicated. That's wonderful. Every experience is very unique. We should not be pitting against each other. I don't know. I've had moms tell me that they felt really judged for not wanting to do unmedicated. And I'm sure there's judgment on the flip side, don't get me wrong. But for a moment, I'd like to examine medicated birth specifically because this is something that's been happening for centuries. We tend to think that medicated births are this modern invention, but one of the most influential books on women's medicine was written almost 1,000 years ago, including page after page of methods for relieving labor pain. Let me read you a passage from the Tortula, an English translation of the medieval Compendium of Women's Science. It says that she should be bathed in water in which mallow, fenugreek, linseed, and barley have been cooked. Let her sides, belly, hips be anointed with oils of violets or rose oil. Let her be rubbed vigorously with oxyzicara, a medieval herbal syrup. Let it be given in a drink and some powder of mint and wormwood, and let 1 ounce be given. Let sneezing be provoked with powder of frankincense, placed in the nostrils. Let the woman be led about at a slow pace through the house. So, women have always been trying to make birth safer and less painful. The tools have changed significantly, but the desire hasn't. The Tortula was one of the most influential medical texts on women's health and treatment, and is thought to have been written in the coastal town of Salerno in southern Italy centuries ago. I think it's Salerno. If I'm butchering it, I'm sorry. Salerno was the hub of medieval medical learning, trade, and agriculture in the 11th and 12th century. It became known in distant lands as a place where the most knowledgeable medical practitioners resided and where no illness was able to settle. So, all of that to say, I'm not condoning one and shaming the other, but for the moms who are feeling unsure or a little worried that you might be judged, girl, just do your research. That's it. Only you know what's going to be best for you, okay? And another big part of research is finding classes around you, which brings me to my next question. Are birthing classes really necessary? Well, my short answer is no. But if I'm going to go skydiving for the first time, personally, I'm going to take a class just to make sure I'm up to speed. Because you can read all the books and watch all the videos you want, but there's something really helpful about doing it with an instructor. And also, the cool part is everybody's here in that class for the exact same reason. They're all feeling the same feelings. They're anxious, they're nervous, they're excited. And there's something so beautiful working side by side with someone who is in the exact same phase of life as you. So, while yes, we can say that babies are born every single day, I think it diminishes our power when we follow that phrase up with, you'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Because that's not fair. And that's just not true. Why are we trying to act all tough when we're all thinking the same thing? Hey, this is kind of scary, and we're doing this for the first time. And that's okay to want to do it alongside someone. So instead of going into this with a bunch of anxiety, just give yourself some peace of mind. Take a class or two, okay? If you already have a hospital that you plan to deliver at, you should be able to go online and they should have resources for you there. They should have birthing classes and schedules where you can take them in person, or we even took ones that were online Zoom classes. Now, for those who are planning to go to the hospital, a big question I've gotten is, what should I pack in my hospital bag? And this one is going to be 100% personal, what I found to be very helpful. The number one thing I'm going to say is a fan. I know it's weird. A personal little fan. I got the ones with the claw feet on them so I could wrap it around the hospital bed, and it helped keep me cool during labor so I could keep my cool during labor. And you can also use it after the baby's born. You can attach it to their car seat handle in the back of the car if it's summer and it's hot, or you go on a walk, you can attach it to the stroller. It's super useful. My second favorite thing that I had were little silverettes. I didn't have it with my first, I wish I would have, but I did have it with my second, and it helped so much. If you are going to be breastfeeding, I highly recommend them. When you're in the hospital, they're gonna give you things like lanolin and these hydrogel pads. They're cooling pads that you can put in your bra, and they're really helpful for in between those feedings. But these silverettes, dude, they're like magic, okay? You take them and you squirt like a little bit of milk in it, and then you put it in your bra, and I don't know, it's like magic. It just heals overnight, and so keep them in between, your feedings, and yeah, they're wonderful. They're a little pricey, but I highly recommend them. As for everything else, it's kind of just all comfort stuff, honestly. If you have a favorite blanket or a favorite pillow, bring it. There's something about having those, like, cozy comforts of home, especially in a hospital, that can be really helpful during the process. Smells are another big thing too, so if you have any essential oils that you love, bring them. Bring some music too. We brought a speaker, we played jazz the whole time, it was great, it was a really good vibe. Um, a boppy pillow, so like a breastfeeding pillow, that was extremely helpful to have as well whenever you're feeding your baby. Also, if the baby's in the little bassinet, it's a nice little like neck pillow to help you sleep whenever you're kind of having to sit up as well. Giant underwear is another one. I mean, the biggest underwear you can find. Circus tent panties. Because you're not going to want any small panties at all. You might like the diapers. I wore the diaper for like a couple hours and then I ditched it for the mega panties and the mega pads, which is another thing. They're going to provide you with a lot of stuff that you're going to need. The pads, the little like derma spray, I can't remember, but it's like witch hazel and it's really really good for healing all the things. Um, they're also gonna give you stuff that you need, like peri bottles for yourself, but then diapers and wipes. You can request more. They're not gonna tell you no. Also, take the little swaddles. My biggest advice, leave room in your bag. Don't pack too much, Leave room because you're going to be leaving the hospital with a lot more stuff than just a baby on the outside. You're going to be taking as much stuff as you possibly can. And that leads me to the next question. So, you've brought your baby home. Now what? There's a lot of talk about the preparation for the baby and then the delivery of the baby. But what about those first few days when it's just you guys at home, or those first few weeks? I mean, they call it the newborn bubble for a reason, but it doesn't have to be isolating. So the question was, what advice do you have on surviving the first few weeks? And my number one advice is teamwork. If you are raising your baby with your partners, it's definitely going to be a routine that you figure out together through trial and error. But taking shifts with the baby is one of the most important things you can do because sleep deprivation is very real and it can get really scary. I had some of the most insane thoughts I've ever had in my life during my most sleep deprivated states. So, having a partner that I trusted to say, "Hey, I'm not doing so well. I need you to take the baby," was crucial for me. And of course, if these thoughts and feelings persist, if they're frightening and you feel like they're telling you to hurt yourself or to hurt the baby, that is no longer sleep deprivation. Please talk to someone about it immediately. There's a reason that whenever you go to the pediatrician, there's a specific form that you fill out for how you're doing as well. You're not going to get in trouble. It's nothing that the doctor has not heard before, but it does not mean that it is normal, just like my therapist said. Right? We're not going to normalize these feelings just because so many women feel them. We are trying to make you, and she tried to make me understand, so now I'm trying to make you understand that these thoughts, while they do happen with a lot of people, we're not going to normalize them and we're still going to get help and support when we need it. And I'm not saying any of this to scare any of the new moms. I promise. It really did take my therapist repeating it to me over and over that I am not a bad mom and that all this crazy stuff that I'm thinking was the sleep deprivation. I didn't love myself or my baby or my husband any less. It was literal science that was going on in my head. My prefrontal cortex, which was in charge of the logic and calming me down, it literally shuts down when you're sleep deprived. And then your amygdala, which is what's in charge of your emotions and your reactions, is now ramped up by 60%. So you're not going crazy. It's just science. You just need some rest. And if it does feel like more than that, then you need some support and you need to talk about it. If you're unable to find that support in a partner, I highly recommend you just find at least one or two people that you really trust to come over and sit with a baby for a little bit while you get some rest. If it's your mom, your mother in law, your sister, your best friend, I don't care. Somebody who you can trust to sit there because those first few weeks, months, they're little potatoes, they're little loaves, and they need you a ton. But when they're sleeping, if somebody can just sit with them, I promise they'll be okay. And you'll be right there too in the house if you're struggling with the anxiety like I did. And if you're in a situation where you don't even have that, my biggest advice is just try to sleep when the baby sleeps. And I know that's really tough because when my husband went to work, we live out of state. I didn't really have any friends in the state yet at this point, so I felt pretty isolated and I just slept when the baby did. And at first, you feel like you're going crazy because you're like, oh my God, I only slept for like 10 minutes. But that eventually turns into 30 minutes and then an hour. And then one day, your rock hard tatas are going to wake you up and be like, get this milk out of me. So I promise the sleep will come. Other things that I highly recommend whenever you get home with a baby, those middle of the night breastfeeding sessions, you're going to be starving and you're going to be really, really thirsty. So always keep like the biggest water bottle you can. We always kept the ones we got from the hospital. We call them our most expensive water bottles. But just keep that filled as much as you can and then keep snacks next to your bedside, like crackers, granola bars, because the last thing you want is 3 a.m. and you're trying to feed the baby and you're starving and you've only got one hand. You don't want to go in the kitchen, rummage in for a snack, wake the rest of the house up. So just stay hydrated, keep food on you. You'll survive it, I promise. It's a small phase and it feels really tough whenever you're in it, but it gets easier, I promise. I really did love all of these questions because it brought me back to a time when I was really nervous and really unsure, and I just wish I had all the answers. But the truth is, if you asked 100 moms all these questions, you're going to get 100 different answers. And maybe they're slightly different or they're vastly different. It doesn't matter. It just shows that this motherhood journey is extremely unique to every mother. And what I deem as a must have or a don't do might not apply to you. And that's totally okay. I just hope that my experience is helpful as you move forward in making these decisions for yourself and your own birthing experience and the weeks that are going to come after. So, if you're pregnant and you have your own questions that you'd like answered, or you're a new mom and you're in this unknown phase of leaps and regressions and trying to introduce foods and what apps to download, send your questions to the show's email, draftingmotherhoodpod@gmail.com, and I will share my thoughts and my experiences, and I'll even do some research to back it up for you. Thanks for joining me in unpacking these common new parent questions. I look forward to reading and sharing many more because, as we all know by now, the only way we're going to get through this is together. So let's keep talking.